Hello, hello.
Hi diddly ho, everyone. Hi diddly ho.
Welcome back. My name is Tara,
I'm Natalie.
and we are making a movie, and this is our podcast about making that movie. For those of you who are just now tuning into this podcast, you just discovered us by happenstance. What's happening here is Natalie and I are making a movie, a feature film, our very first feature film. It is called Turns Out. And that feature film, we decided instead of making a behind the scenes video after the fact, we'd make a podcast about the adventure of making this film because we need we don't know what we're doing, and we're hoping that you can learn as we learn.
We wanted to document the fact that we had no idea what we were doing. Let's not let the audience think that we had it all put together from the beginning.
Oh, no, no,
No.
no, no. No, we do not know. So, welcome to our podcast. Right now, where we're at in our adventure, we're in the development phase, which means that we haven't got monies yet. We don't have the plans are loose still. We're developing the film, and that can mean a lot of things. But in our world right now, where we're at is we're kind of in the core team world. We've put together our core team. We're fleshing all of that out. We're getting all those jobs done. And one of the things that we kind of stumbled across is the fact that because we are not directors, usually indie films, which is what we're making, is written and directed by the same person. That happens a lot. But when you are making, yeah, very often. And if you go to festivals a lot, you'll discover like how much the film festivals lean on talking to the director because that's usually the point person for the movie. That's not us. We're actors, we're producers, we're wardrobe people, but like directors, not so much. Natalie directs sometimes out of duress because we need somebody to tell us what to do. I
Out of
I
sheer
actually
need.
I actually think that I'm gonna keep twisting her arm to someday actually direct. 'Cause I think she'd be amazing at it. But that's a side quest. We'll talk about some other time. So we needed a director, and so we, as non-directors, realized that the an essential person you need on your team quickly is that director. So that is what we're doing today. We're talking about the fact that we got ourselves a director, and what does that mean in our world?
What does that mean in the stage of the film specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In our world, the stage of the film, when you're an indie team, bringing in a director, whoa, what does that look like? So we, because of all the film festivaling that we've done over the years, we've gotten very lucky to meet lots of amazing, talented people. And one such person is a person that we are interviewing today. His name is Mike Hayhurst. He is our director. If you missed our previous episode with Allison Hayhurst, that's a definitely Allison Moy Hayhurst. That's a definite go listen to. She is also our producer. They are a team that make up Evening Squire Productions. We met them.
I think
in our
Twister Alley, I think was the first place we met them. I think we established it with Allison.
Yeah.
But they were at two festivals that Imaginary Friends was at before we even met them, I think.
Yeah.
But I think Twister Alley was the first place. And then Gig Harbor is where we're currently hang out. I got the opportunity to hang out with them in Cordillera the year before last, while we were there
cool
with
festival.
social, we were there with social, I was there with social anxiety. We didn't, Tara couldn't attend, but it meant that I got to
social anxiety is not Natalie's feelings; it's her short film.
or both. It's both.
Or both. It's both. But that was our project last year.
I was there while they were doing Beat was the name of that short film
That's
that they
right.
had there. Actually, they had two that year. I think they also had Upside Down Plain Face,
I
if
think so.
that's the name of it. Anyway, but I got to hang out with them and get to know them a little bit better as well. And
Mhm.
we just every time I get to see their stuff and I get to hang out with them, I do think that there's just such a wide breadth of talent.
Yeah.
They're so easy to get along with. Now I'm talking about the them instead of just the Mike, but
Yeah.
they're so easy to get along with, and they also have just everything they do is solid. And it
Mhm.
it was definitely a we want to work with these guys.
Right. And personally, like in being at the film festivals and doing the hanging out stuff, I just liked Mike. I don't know if it's because he's British. I don't know if it's because he's nice. I don't know if it's because he laughs at all my jokes, but
Yeah.
I just liked him, and I think that speaks to the one of the many reasons you go to film festivals is to make friends, not to network. Take that. I mean, network, yeah, yeah. But you like, we genuinely formed a connection with Allison and Mike, and I liked them, and that
I
made
was
me
gonna
want
say,
to work with them.
fair warning, accent incoming. There's a dialect. There's an accent. And so you can all swoon when you listen
Oh
to
my
this on the
God, get ready to
podcast.
swoon. It's super side quest. I work my day job. I have a gentleman who's from Birmingham. He has a wonderful, amazing accent. And because every girl swoons over him, and he's this tall, handsome, good-looking guy, and lovely, absolutely lovely. I have to take the opposite tack and give him the hardest time about his accent and tease him. And I'm like, I'm really kind of genuinely worried I'm gonna slip into giving Mike a hard time
Being
because I do that to
pokey.
this
Yeah.
I know, and so I'm gonna pre apologize in case something of that comes out because it's I've been making fun of his accent. I've been making fun of the way he says. We fight about word pronunciation, so pre apologies in case that comes out. I don't mean it. I don't mean it. It's my way of being cute and whatever. Ugh, ugh. Anyways, all right. So, what do you think? We cover our bases. Should we bring
Yeah,
Mike
I think
in?
so. Yeah,
I
let's
think
do
it's
it.
time. All right, guys. Let me bring in Mike. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Well, the green room was wonderful, and thank you
It's
for the
it's really nice back
pre-accent
there.
warning there. I hope I didn't disappoint with the
Yeah,
voice.
the green room's great. We got snacks back there. We got coffee.
Uh,
It's nice. I still no tea. I've been asking you for a good cup of tea in the green room
Oh,
for months.
we'll
months.
put we'll put that in your contract. There must be tea.
Well, welcome to our show. We are so happy to have you on board. Go ahead and give them an introduction to who you are. Who are you, Mike?
Who am I indeed? No, look, my name is Mike Hayhurst. I'm a director. I started my career in theatre in England, working for a big regional theatre there. I was running their youth theatre programming, directing Shakespeare and musicals, and devising new work and site-specific work in kitchens and all sorts of kind of stuff. Um, Moved to New York in 2010, started working for a producer who had a bunch of things on Broadway, had some shows on network TV, and all sorts of things. And one day he said to me, um, "Theater's stupid. There's no money in theater. I'm going to teach you how to make films." So he sent me to Toronto for 3 months to work on a film we'd been developing up there, and that was my first time on set. And I was there. The cast was stacked. We had an EGOT in this film. And the first AD kind of really took me under her wing and gave me a headset and was like, "Look, just listen to everything that's happening."
Wow.
And that was my first introduction to film. And I just sat there. I had my headset on. I was a director's assistant, so I was also, doing the tea run and the coffee run and things like that. But every department kind of talking, bringing in lights, camera, equipment, the AD team, all of this stuff. I was just kind of absorbing all this, and that was my kind of first foray into this world, and just really kind of opened my eyes to another way of storytelling. And my whole thing is kind of, how do we tell stories? How do we share interesting worlds and welcome people into the lives of different characters and stuff? So yeah, there was that one. Then I got sent down to Georgia, into Atlanta to make another film kind of straight away. And at that point, I think I got my first camera and started, grabbing those friends and making stuff on
Oh,
the weekends
yay.
and things like that. And so when I eventually went freelance, yeah, just kind of finding those opportunities, finding those people, finding that network and that community, and just started making stuff and putting stuff out into the world. And that kind of led me into, yeah, the short film world, the festival world, the wonderful world of you and just kind of how we, yeah, you just meet people, you find the people you want to work with. That's a very kind of short,
Those are
abridged
broad
version,
strokes.
I
Yeah.
guess. Dig in and yeah, ask me, and yeah, I can talk about it for hours. But I
When
won't right now.
was that trip to Toronto? What year? Like,
I think that was 2013,
okay. Yeah.
and
Okay.
that was yeah, a great film that we made for Lifetime. And yeah, I was working as the director's assistant, and also obviously working for the executive producer who kind of flew in every now and again.
Wow.
And yeah, that was a real, like I said, we had a lot of kind of great talent on that shoot, and I found myself, there was one weekend, all my friends were at someone's wedding in New York City, but I couldn't fly in and fly. I couldn't go, so I was stuck in Toronto, but ended up delivering pages to one of our actors, our kind of lead actor, and she invited me into her hotel, into this suite, and we just started running lines and kind of working through these pages. And it was a real kind of eye-opening moment for me that even on that kind of scale and that level of career that she's had, actors want to work, they want to do the work, they want that kind of conversation around the character and the lines and the dialogue. And that was a really nice kind of, oh yeah, like the directing thing is good for me, and I'm a good fit for that.
So just as a timeline question, when did you meet Allison on all of this?
So 2007,
Okay.
we were working upstate New York at a theater camp for kids. So she was costume designing a show. I was directing, teaching improv, teaching various other bits and bobs, and we had 3 weeks together on in upstate New York, and then we were long distance for 2 years, 3 years. Then I moved,
Yeah.
and yeah, we've been in New York and married
Wow.
15 years. So
Congratulations.
yeah, well, thank you very much.
Y'all met at summer camp. That's adorable. I love that.
Yeah, it's a real kind of weird bubble of a place.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, it's amazing that it, like, for me, it's kind of one of those like dream scenarios where like a director producer come together and form a romantic union, because then you have this like working relationship already. Like, I think that's so, for whatever reason, I think that's romantic and so cute. Like, you've got a little production company together and like you're making movies together. I love that. That's so fun.
Yeah,
You guys
so
are a great
romantic.
team.
So
You
romantic.
are.
No friction, no challenges, no
Never.
nothing.
I'm
It's
sure.
just perfect.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Always. Oh yeah.
It'll be
Yeah.
fun to like peel back that layer and see the two of you working together. You guys haven't seen Tara and I really working together.
Oh, yeah, we've got the sister dynamic. 20 years of friendship. We've got a sister dynamic that like sometimes we get real tense.
It gets rough.
Or we band together like little hyenas and like go, all right, how are we gonna work this scenario? And we go to our corner and we come back out like
so this is what we came up with.
I can't wait. And no, I mean, you mentioned my first feature, And Through the Portal We Go, we learned a heck of a lot about how we work together, not for a kind of prolonged period of time. Like shorts are great, but 2 days, 3 days, 4 days of shooting, that's kind of easy to just suck it up and deal with it. When you get into the feature game, and we only had 9 days on our first feature, but that's a large amount of time. And so any friction that you feel kind of day one early on, you need to get that under control. You need to figure that out and have those conversations about how we're going to keep doing this. And Allison, as a producer and also a partner, is just exceptional at managing people, taking care of people, and really kind of setting people up to be their best selves at work and what they're doing. And so I can't wait for you to also have that experience on set.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, she takes care of everyone.
Okay, so I gotta ask, like, director, what do you do what is it you're doing? Like,
No,
I guess
specifically,
in
hold
like
on. No, specifically in development, because we know what a director
yes,
does on set.
we know what a
Everyone
director's.
knows what a director does on set, but in development, in pre-production, what is the director? There's so many things, but we don't necessarily really understand them. So will you please like give us a crash course on what it is that you do during development?
So let's say, as has happened with us, I've read the script, I like the script, the producer likes me, they want me, the writer likes me. Okay, I'm on board, I'm doing it. As I continue to keep reading the script, digging into it, starting to kind of figure out the visual language of this thing, figure out the tone of it in a way that translates into a kind of visual medium, starting to kind of, I really turn into a bit of a kind of magpie of things, like, you know what I mean by like a magpie. I like anything kind of,
No, I don't.
okay.
Oh.
So magpies, they collect kind of shiny things. They go flying around and like, oh, that's a shiny thing. Well, and I'll bring it back to the nest and kind of collect things. Are they British? Is it an English bird?
No.
I-
It is an English bird. It is,
Okay.
and a magpie is a very British term.
Okay,
I'm 100% a magpie ever person. It's the only reason why I know that term.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Perfect. I said this to Allison yesterday, and she said, I have no idea what that means. So I wasn't
Yeah.
sure. Okay, so as I keep working through the script, any kind of reference, I start watching other films. I start listening to music and songs and watching TV shows, reading other books, start looking at kind of artwork and design things, and really kind of pulling all this together, and to really kind of hone in on this story and who are these characters and what is this world and how can we kind of create this world for our audience and kind of bring them in. And I know, writers have their intentions with the thing, and a lot of it is really kind of digging into what does the writer mean in this moment, what's the feeling of this scene, what's the overall kind of, not message necessarily, but what do we want our audience to feel as they're walking out of the theater.
Ooh.
So there's a lot of that kind of thing going on.
Last week we talked about motifs. Are we gonna have you come up with like a motif for?
So there are things already that I'm making notes of in the script, and then yes, these moments that kind of we
Awesome.
come back to. And I think I need to talk to you about adding a third beat for something, but we'll save that
Okay.
for another. We'll save that for another.
Scheduled coming up that we
We'll
have to
do
talk
we'll do
about.
that another time.
Yeah.
But yes, and
No,
really
right
just
now.
okay. Well, on page 73, no, there's starting
know
to
what it
think
is.
about these moments and these motifs and these recurring themes that can really help emphasize
Yeah.
some character beats, humor as well. Just finding that third beat of a joke can kind of just land it in a slightly different way. And then also, because we're working currently with the resources we have, and starting to think through how we shoot this at the budget level that we're probably going to be at, how I can start thinking of some visual motifs and humor in there, and just finding the life and the language for it that can really help just kind of elevate both of your performances and the text that you've written and these characters that you've created.
Awesome.
So
I think that would segue Tara into that
I
mood
was gonna
board, don't
say,
you think? Or
I thought about mood board, but I also want to ask a question really quick. So, like, you said you got started from theater originally, right?
Yes.
Do you do the same kind of magpieing for theater work? Like, is that another, like, you collect the pieces together when you're doing a theater thing, and that you brought that thing into doing a movie?
Yes, I think there is. I love that rehearsal room with your actors. I love covering those walls with, the artwork and the newspaper articles and the research and all these kind of things. And I think, they talk often about theater being the writer's medium. And so a lot of that work is kind of, we're mining the text and we're looking at any kind of small reference in the text. What does that mean?
Mhm.
How do we kind of embody that in the work that we're doing and bring that into the performance?
Yeah.
Film, they talk a lot more about being the director's medium. So I think in a lot of ways, I'm looking a little wider. I'm not just looking at the text. I'm also
Okay.
thinking, okay, how does this film play in the world of today? Like, why this story today? What's happening in the world? How can I kind of pull in references or kind of acknowledge certain things that are happening, and not to date it in a very
Right.
specific way, because I like things that can play in 5 years, 10 years. I want people to find this film when you're both accepting your Oscars, like that. I want it to be able to play, timelessly.
Yeah.
But we're watching it potentially in festivals in 2026, let's say
Yeah.
that, or
Yeah.
26, 27. How do we also speak to the world of today with it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the prep process, so you created this amazing tone board or mood board. Is there a correct way to say this?
If there is, I don't know it.
Okay.
I think
Well, I think I think it's tone board, whatever. So part of your prep process, you brought us this tone board. I'm gonna pull that up on the screen right now for anyone who's watching this live. Um, so you made a mood board that just like you were like, I'm working on it, and you sent it over to us and it knocked my socks off.
Me
Like
too.
all
Mm-hmm.
the images you pulled together, it's only like about 5 pages, and I don't mean only as like a cutting comment. I mean like it didn't need to be this grand epic thing. But these 5 pages were so packed with such great imagery that I was like, oh, is that what you're doing while you're prepping for a movie? You're pulling these little, and like you saying the magpie thing and like prepping for building a world like makes so much sense. So for anyone who's watching this on the YouTube channel, I'm going to be pulling up the images for us, but we're going to kind of talk through. I just want to like tell me how you did this. How did you think to find these images? Like what was going through your little brain when you're like, oh, I like this and I like that. One of your first pages is the our heroes page, and that's the Amanda and I forgot our character's name again.
Karen.
Natalie.
Karen.
Gosh darn it. This happens so much between Natalie and I. We forget our characters' names. Amanda and Karen, who are our two and only characters in the movie. Yeah, tell me things.
Yeah, and I think this is, for me, where I am with this. This is very much an early kind of thought exercise for me. It's as I've read this thing many times, and so as those things are starting to come up, one I've got still here from Bridesmaids, Maya Rudolph, Kristen Wiig, day drinking, there's wine, they're on the couch, they're in the front room, and it just gives the viewer, I recognize these two characters. They're best friends.
Mm-hmm.
They joke a lot. They laugh a lot. They're enjoying themselves. And so I think when we're talking with our production designer or a potential investor, we can say, hey, this relationship starts in a way that you can connect the dots between these things. There's also images on here of, two women in distress, stressed out about something. And so it can really help just give an example, a visual example of some of the things that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And this will change. This will, we'll get to
Right.
a point where once we lock in our location, once we figure out how many days we have to film, what the budget is to film, I will go back through this probably with a production designer and look at, okay, this is the intention, but how can we get that with the resources that we have, budget, space, time, all those types of things. And it just, I think, it just really helps us kind of get on the same page with tonally as well, kind of performance wise. We want to make sure that we're making the same film. If you're coming into this expecting a, Christopher Nolan gritty, drawn out drama, whatever it is, I might be asking you for something else that's not lining up with that. And so I think things like this mood board and like a tone deck can really kind of help with that.
Well, and I think to the opposite end too, like the images of our heroes page, like these aren't the colors are nice, but they're not, nothing looks too polished. Everything looks a little bit more indie, a little more
It's
like,
not oversaturated.
Yeah, it's not clean. It's not super clean like a comedy that's like a big budget. I don't know, like I can't think of any movie names right now, but like
Well,
anything
even
that's, like, really
Bridesmaids,
shiny.
the picture that's from Bridesmaids in here is not as vibrant. I don't know if you did anything to desaturate it or if it's just that it was that image from that movie happens to be that, but it doesn't feel that same way. It doesn't look like you're looking at one of those big budget comedies, which is what our kind of goal is.
Right, and I think there's a big difference between kind of big American studio comedies, which do
Mm-hmm.
tend to be shot very wide, they're very broad. There's, I'm here, I'm saying my lines, and like there is a lot of great examples of,
Mm-hmm.
very, very funny films that are shot that way. I don't think that's what this film is. We
Mm-hmm.
are a little more grounded in character. We're a bit more rooted in that kind of scenario that you've built. And so, yeah, kind of finding those previous films that kind of reflect the tone of it, and yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
color palette and things like that, because that's going to affect how we light the shot. That's going to affect the
Mm-hmm.
lenses we choose. That's going to affect all of these things. Um, so to make sure, right from day one, that we're all looking at the same thing and kind of on the same page with that. And again, this may change. It
Yeah.
probably will, but
Mm-hmm.
this is where we are right now in this period of our kind of development before we really get into the pre-production phase, which is, we're going to need to make some hard decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sarah,
And
go
then
ahead and
you,
flip through some of
yeah, I
these other
say, and
ones
then
too.
you've got the you went into like the world in the bunker, like getting to see these the world that we've created, but also like the style and the look of it, like being again indie, rough around the edges, like it's not the bunker room being very specific. Like we got this very narrow two
Mm-hmm.
bed bunker space. It's not the Cloverfield bunker. It's a very different kind of bunker. Like you putting those up there and like that helps in the development phase. The budget, like, oh no, not a big bunker, small bunker. Think
Mm-hmm.
tight quarter kind of thing. Like I love the bunker and the world images as well. They were so and the wolf is the dog. I don't ever see the dogs, but there are dogs in our movie. Like these are great. The
And I think
vacant
that
street.
yeah, I think that shot of the wolf is from The Leftovers, and it's just this moment. It's never explained, but one of our characters just kind of looks down the street. This wolf kind of walks across the street, and they just lock eyes with each other. And there's
I
an
see.
air of kind of sinister. There's an external threat in your film,
Yeah.
in our film. I'm going to say
Yeah.
it's our film now.
Yes.
Our film. Yes.
There's an external threat in our film that we don't necessarily see or truly
Mm-hmm.
understand what that is, but just a quick shot like that can still provide, yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
tension and the fear, and that can then motivate our characters to make decisions after that. And so to
Mm-hmm.
find the right image that kind of sells that was it took me a minute, but
Which is going to be an interesting conversation going forward that I hadn't really thought about, but the emptiness of the world is a character,
Yeah.
and portraying that in these shots is going to be kind of interesting. And the outside obviously, but how are we going to also translate that inside? They feel you're going to want it to feel claustrophobic, but you're also going to
Hmm.
want it to be this big, everything outside of here is scary. And how do you, like, I don't know, like that's going to be
Yeah.
interesting trying to thread that needle. That's
yeah,
exciting. That's kind of
it,
Yeah.
exciting.
it is exciting, and I think one of the exciting things, especially when you're working with the writers of the film that you're directing, there's an infinite number of solutions to any problem. We need a street that is deserted. Maybe it's a comet. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. How do we show that and tell that with the resource? We can't shut down a street.
No.
We can't set a
Yeah.
car on fire and have it burning in the corner. We can't do those things.
Hmm.
But is there a way to either frame it in a particular way? Can we support that with a little VFX?
Mm-hmm.
Could we just write one line slightly differently that explains things in a slightly different way that we can film? And so to be able to, I think, again, with this kind of development process, to look at some of those moments and not necessarily make decisions at this stage this early on, but know that there may need to be some options that we come up with.
Hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Start putting things on the board that like we need to earmark this for like how are we going to accomplish this later.
Yes.
In this mood board though, you cracked me up because you've got this one page that's the house, and you snuck in a pineapple, and I adore you for that. Our production company is called Sneaky Pineapple, for those of you who don't know, and Natalie manages to figure out how to sneak a pineapple into every single thing that we do somewhere, some way. And I was like, he got a pineapple in there. You're hired, sir.
Well,
You're hired.
full disclosure, Allison came up with that particular image, but I chose to include it in my board.
It is, and hold on, ours is called Sneaky Pineapple, but the pineapple is never sneaky.
No.
This is actually a conversation we should have. Is there something that we need to work in for Evening Squire? Do you guys have Easter eggs that you hide in your films?
Yeah.
There is a slight avocado. The first short film I ever submitted to festivals was a live action puppetry film about half an avocado walking around the streets of New York trying to find something to fill the space where their pit should be. Very, very, very sweet. 3 minutes, played all over the place. And then my first feature, avocado toast, was kind of prominently featured.
Yes,
so there is a slight avocado theme to my work, which maybe is my millennial showing. But
we can have a really gross avocado in the fridge.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, some guac or something in there. You know, we can
really gross.
we can figure out some Easter eggs for our, the fans.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, your mood board. I love looking at directors' tone and mood boards. To me they're wonderful copybooks. Like I actually want to get this printed up. I think at some point make a little mini, like a child's coloring, or not coloring, a child's size hardboard book and put it on a coffee table, because I like everything that you pick so much. Like it was really fun for me and really exciting to see the tone mood board. It's getting to see the movie. Everything that we've been picturing in our minds for years now, 8 years, I got to see pictures of it that I would not have been able to find. I wouldn't have thought of any of those images. And that's why you need a good director, because they're going to help you think in that way.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, just that. It's kind of pulling these things together, like consolidating things, and then when I have those conversations with the cinematographers and when I have those conversations with the production designers, it's like, this is the feel of the film. Is this in your wheelhouse? Is this in can you see a way with the resources to kind of get this feel for this film? Because we're also, as you continue to put together the core team, it's not just the script, it's the script and a visual, and people can be honest and say, like, hey, I don't shoot this kind of material. Right? It's just, I don't have the experience, it's not my wheelhouse. Somebody else might be a better fit, and it's with those reference images that you can really kind of have those conversations.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what's interesting for me is that when I write, while I can visualize a shot, I don't have color or tone or like none of that. Like the color never enters into it. Like I think everything's just real life in my visualization of writing something. And so while I 100% see where the cuts are and that kind of thing, I don't have any. And this is why one of the reasons that I would need to just really strong DP if I was ever going to direct anything, is because I don't have that, like, oh, we should do this kind of lighting and let's put the shadows on her face. I don't know. It's interesting because we saw those imagery and I'm like, that's 100% the movie that I'm talking about. But I could have never told you. I never put that into words, nor would I have ever seen it in my head beforehand.
Is it a muscle that you build over time, Mike, or is it something that like you innately had coming in, or did you flex this muscle and build it stronger over the years?
I think it's a skill that you have to continually work on, and I think there's only. I mean, shorts are slightly different in a way that you like. Oh, I've got this space, or I have a weekend and I have some friends, and we want to put this thing together. But I think the feature game is a much bigger beast, if you like. And so, it just takes time to be able to read things in a way that, just starting to pull together these references and just being open to everything. And like when I'm directing something, I very much live that world for as long as I can, and everything starts getting filtered through this. And my first feature, And Through the Portal We Go, was all about cults, and so everything to me just became kind of about cults and like different, very kind of, and not just those kind of capital C cults, but like also that the smaller, here's a fan base that is quite
Fanaticism.
yeah, fanaticism,
Yeah.
and so everything starts getting filtered through that, and so I just start, just looking at the world and collecting those things and things like that. So for this, looking at a two-hander in a bunker in the apocalypse, all these kinds of things, it just starts, like, oh, what's that thing over there that's about the apocalypse? That's,
Yeah.
I start just clicking all the links in the Wikipedia articles.
And I would think that coming from a theater background, that in theater you do build the world. You have a black stage and you do start from the ground up and you go, no, this is the color scheme and this is the, and so I think coming from that visual would translate really well into building a world in film and having that muscle already.
Yeah, and the kind of the devised theatre work that I've spent a lot of time doing. You walk in to like you say, like an empty space. There's an actor, and we're going to create something in this kind of 2-week rehearsal period for an audience. We need to find everything that kind of we're going to fill that space with. And the great thing about film is that we can use the world around us and a lot of that stuff. But I think it is. It's just you create the world, and then you let your actors and kind of trust your actors to kind of do their work and kind of exist in that space and in that world, and they're the ones that kind of bring it to life and pull the audience in to that world and kind of through that world and kind of experience it alongside the characters throughout the 90 minutes.
We're going to move into our Q&A session a little bit here, but I'm going to start that one off a little bit different than what our notes are, because now I'm curious on our own personal level. So what is your, do you think you have like a directing style when it comes to being on set, and like, what can we expect as actors? Like,
what are you going to make me do?
So we work with Jason C. Brown a lot, and Jason C. Brown, one of his favorite things to do is to pull us aside and give us notes that the other person can't hear at all. And he has this little like trick that he does, and it works. And it means that Tara's going to come over and give me something. And it's sometimes the direction he's giving Tara is actually to change something I'm doing. It has nothing to do with Tara's delivery. It's to change what my reaction's been, and instead of directing me to react differently, he's gonna make it happen. Anyway, so that's like a little nugget that I've learned from him. We've got different ones from all of our different directors that we worked with. Do you like have a thing that we should be expecting, or do you want to keep it a secret?
Look, I'll be transparent. I think I'm still figuring out a lot of things. I think about my style, about the types of films I make. One thing I'm very, very conscious of is I never raise my voice. I just don't do it. I am very calm on set. Whatever is going on, I am calm. You might not see that it's like the feet under the duck.
Oh, we'll challenge that. We will see about that.
No.
Just kidding.
But there is, and I like my set to be.
Yelling.
No, and I like my set to be very. We're here to do a job. Let's, we're focused. We're gonna get the thing done. And that doesn't mean we can't laugh. That doesn't mean we can't kind of have those moments. But let's kind of stay on task and be focused and calm with this.
Okay.
I think one of the ways I really like to work with actors, because I trust actors to have done their work. And I am not an actor. I am not going to give you line reads. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do anything. I like to direct a lot through questions and questioning. And so after a particular take, hey, I wonder, like, what would happen if she's a bit more curious about what's happening right now?
Oh, I like it. And
then I trust you to go, oh, how do I play curious? I know how to do that. I have that in my tool set. And trusting you to do that. There's one of our short films, 15 Down, was about a 15-year-old girl and the relationship with her grandmother. And there's one night, spoiler alert, the grandmother has a fall in the night, tragically passes away. But this, the guilt that this character feels kind of the morning after, like, 'cause she didn't wake up, she didn't hear anything. And this wonderful actor, Emma, first time kind of being number one on the call sheet, she kind of carried this film. She wasn't quite getting there. And I remember just kind of whispering in her ear before another take, what if this was all your fault that your grandmother died?
Oh.
That setback action. And for her to kind of process that question in the moment is the take in the film.
Oh,
And
wow.
I mean, I felt kind of quite bad in some ways about kind of giving such a, it's a tough note. It's a tough, thing to be playing. But we were also there to kind of support her through that process. And again, Allison was there. We took very, very good care of her. Her mum was also there. I mean, she was very well taken care of emotionally. But just in that moment to kind of, give her the question, hey, like, what if you killed your grandma? So lots of questions, lots of, and I won't necessarily talk if I'm not saying anything. I'm much more a kind of, I'll sit in the silence and then be very specific and very clear, and then we can move on. Yeah, we're gonna have a great time. It'd be great. Because like the flip side is also, hey, what do you need from me? Like as as actors in this thing, and that's different things, and different things for different scenes. But how can I best support you and give you what you need to get to the performance that you want to be delivering? Because it's not my face up there at the end of this thing. It's
don't
both
ever
of yours.
ask me how I feel about that take.
Oh God, don't do
Okay.
that.
Good to know.
That implies that you don't like it. Just tell me we're doing another one. Just tell me I'm gonna go. I thought it felt good until you asked me that question.
Yeah. I get in my head immediately when I'm asked that question. Like, well, how should I feel about that take? I don't know.
What did you see?
Anxious attached.
Yeah, I try not to ask you about the take. Like, I think just kind of you as a like. Yeah, how are you doing? Have you got one more in you? Like, how's or like?
Oh,
good.
absolutely.
You want to try something else?
You'll always get a yes. I have one more in me. Do you want something?
I do. Yeah.
Great. But no, I will be specific. I will be.
Yeah.
And again, not to kind of shut things down or kind of say no to ideas. It's just sometimes we get to that point of like, hey, I just need like this beat, this moment, because in the edit, I'm already thinking about the edit. I'm already shooting for the edit and how this thing is going to look in the end of it. Like, I just need this moment from you of like, you just lock eyes for 2 seconds and then we can move on.
Which I will say, like, for me as an actor, I can't think about the edit while I'm working. I can think about it while I'm writing. I can think about it later, but in the moment I can't, and I'll often get lost in like, but why would I look down there? And you just go, no, because we're going to cut. Just Natalie, just do exactly what I told you to do. Look down. Like, okay.
Yeah, and look, I don't want you thinking about the edit. I don't want you to do that. I want you to think about, the one scene that we're in, what has brought you to this scene and what this scene is kind of projecting you into. And if I need you to look down, it's for both of us to come up with a reason for you to look down. It's it's as simple as that. And like, I think I
don't need a reason. Just tell me it's for the edit. Right. That's reason enough for me.
Done.
All right. Awesome.
So as a director and in the development part of the process, like how important is the table read for you and the actors?
I think one of the things I've realized with film specifically is the amount of time you have with your actors is not great. It's not as much as theater, obviously, because we have that long rehearsal process. So I tend to use, even starting with casting, I use casting and auditioning as a way to start building that relationship with the actor. So even if an actor comes in, nails the read, like, yes, I'm casting you immediately, like what you did was perfect, I will still give them a note. I'll still give them an adjustment just to see if we can start finding that common language between us quickly. Because when we get on set, we don't have time to be doing a lot of that kind of work. I'm trusting you to do that work, and we will be in contact as much as we can be before we start rolling. But yeah, I need to kind of I need to build that relationship and find that relationship. So all that to say, the table read it's important, I think, for the relationship between us. I don't necessarily, if a joke falls flat in the table read, I'm not tearing up the script and walking away. Maybe we just need the visual. Maybe that's actually like a physical thing. Of course, we didn't quite get the pacing right or the timing right because we're all sat on Zoom and we're kind of,
Yeah.
the audio is being a bit weird or whatever it is. I think just knowing and trusting the writing. And as I'm going through this, there's a couple of things like, I think there could be a slightly different punchline there, or, we could trim that bit there, or maybe we add something here. I mean, it's a constant, evolving kind of thing. But so I like table reads. I do, but at the same time, they can be a bit of a slog. And so I don't put all my faith in the results of that table read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you for doing a table read. It was great. It was great to hear it out loud. And look, I've been fans of your work for years. I've watched the shorts and I've watched all of it. So I know your voices at this point. But
Yeah.
but to hear you in these roles, which is a little kind of against type,
Yep.
we if we gave this script to 100 people, a lot of people
They would
probably.
assume.
I think they
They would
probably
assume
flip
the
you.
opposite. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
They would. So
reverse it.
to hear you in that was great, and definitely kind of got those gears going and kind of kickstarted a lot of my kind of research and process into this.
Very cool. So you've mentioned and through the portal we go. What did you learn in the development process of that film that you're going to bring with you to this film, to any future film you do?
Yeah, I think for me, that being the first feature, I spent a lot of time watching other people's first features and also trying to find
Smart.
work on a similar budget level.
Yeah.
Because we have enough people now with enough parents in the business. Like, oh yeah, my first feature, we raised $5 million, and I got okay, that's a different thing. You have you have a support system around you that I did not have. But to touch on something you were talking about last week, Mumblecore. You learned about Mumblecore last week. And I watched a bunch of Mumblecore films, and I thought, okay, this is a way to do this with the resources we have and like the budget and stuff. But actually, that's not right for me right now. So great, I learned a lot from that. That's not a good fit. So how do I find ways to I just kind of open the world up a little more, to be a little more kind of conceptual, coming up with this kind of time loop, portal in the woods, cult kind of thing. It felt a little more ambitious kind of content-wise to me. And then from there, kind of reverse engineered a lot of things. Like we have a location in the woods. Great. I have these 3 actors that I love working, I really like. I would love to work with them. I have this devising theater background. So how could I incorporate improvisation into this process? And so all 3 of those actors created self-tapes with 3 different characters each. So they sent me 3 different character submissions.
Oh, wow.
And then from there, I kind of, okay, that character's great, that character, but maybe we'll just include, a little of this other character. We kind of piece those together. And then, I let them kind of, improvise most of the dialogue in that film, which was, pretty ambitious. There's a lot of kind of features, in particular first features, that are fully improvised. I didn't want to kind of trust it that much. I still had that kind of 30-page outline that I had written. But I think, looking at the resources we had, and then also kind of feeling kind of liberated by that and not kind of restricted by that. Like, oh, how... And again, Allison she kept saying, like, as we continue to do this and we continue to kind of bring in other investors, executive producers, more people with more kind of say in what we're doing, make one just for us. This one is for me. And, it's by far my most personal film. I think I say, there's a lot of me in this film, albeit through a weird time looping cult kind of, lens or whatever. Did that kind of answer the question with that?
Well, actually, I love what you said about watching people's first films of a similar budget. Those 2 parameters, like going like it's great to go look at your inspirational work, but like we have to always keep in mind that they had a lot of money and a lot of support. Like, but going and looking at things that are similar, like I've never thought about watching someone's first feature that has similar budget, which is hard to find, but I
Right.
love that.
It is, and that's one of the things that kind of led me to like the Mumblecore thing, and the Duplass brothers and Puffy Chair, and these things are like, yeah, we had like 10 grand or 7 grand or whatever. Like, okay, great. That, I mean, inflation is obviously doing
Right.
its thing now,
Right.
but and what am I willing to compromise on? And so some of these films, like, yeah, we all work for free for every weekend for 6 months or whatever, and like we out from the outset, like, no, we are paying every single person that works on this film, and we're going to pay them an appropriate wage. We're not doing this like, yeah, we'll give you lunch and a Metro card for 14 hours of your time, or I mean, we and so how do we create a story? And I mean, we came up with that story based on those kind of guidelines and parameters for us. This one is slightly different. We have our script. We're trying to find the way to fund it at the right level. But yeah, trying to find those other films. Yeah, watching two-handers. Like, how do two actors carry 90 minutes, 2 hours worth of material?
Yeah.
How do we need to shoot this thing in a way that keeps it visually engaging and evolving? Because we're not going from London to Paris to Hong Kong.
Right.
We're not constantly changing our background, so other things need to change and evolve. So finding those other films that do similar things, so we can kind of take some of those learnings and stuff.
That's interesting, because I think when you're trying to find things for reference, quite often you're just using the same subject matter. So you go and you watch all of the apocalypse films, and what did they do in here and what do you not want to do in here? But like, they're not telling the same story by any means, nor do they have the same budget, nor do they have the same parameters. And so I think both are probably beneficial, like especially in the writing portion of it. You're going to need to watch the other things that are made in that genre. Without, my problem always is if I watch it, then I can't use anything that's even remotely similar that comes into my head. And I'm like, oh no, they did it in that movie. So I try not to watch things, actually. But yeah, I have never thought about like the watching things that were made for similar budget. I really, really like that.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and remembering that this is not a film about the apocalypse. This is a film about two friends who have found themselves in a tough situation. And so we don't need the apocalyptic film to be our reference point. It can be, here's two people in a diner and they're kind of hanging out and living their lives, and like, we can think wider than just the kind of the literal content. We can think thematically as well as thematically as well.
I like it.
I like it. It's good. Do you have any advice for like filmmakers in working with like for people like us? So like actors who are writers, who are whatever. Like, do you have any advice for us folk on working with a director and selecting a director?
Getting a director on board.
Yeah, getting a director on board. Yeah, how do we convince you?
Yeah, how did you convince me? No,
you
look,
convinced us. No,
I've been huge fans of yours. You know that, and I will continue to say that, forever. I think for me personally, is the script interesting? Are the characters interesting? Is it something I think I can do and I think I can be additive to? And look, full disclosure, if I had read this and like I didn't think I was right for it, I would have told you. I would have said, hey, this is not my story to tell. This is not, and let me support in another way, be it producer, be it whatever. So I think finding what that interests you, because you're going to need to live this thing for years. I mean, you've been writing it, you said, for 8 years now.
something like that. Yeah.
Don't want to talk about it.
You gave me a script in September, October. It's now June. We have another draft. I'm gonna be. I mean, I'm gonna be with this through the edit, through the post production, through the fest. Do I want to spend 5 years of my life with these two characters in this world? And for this particular story, and for you two, it was, well, yes, obviously. Would love to. And so I think for other directors, as they're looking at things, because look, we all want to work, we want to say yes to work and get the work and things like that. But I think knowing when it is the right thing for you, and it takes time to figure that out. You're going to make some wrong decisions, and I've probably said yes to some things that I wasn't quite right for, and so I think my work was fine. I think my work was solid, but I don't think I necessarily added all the things that a different director could have potentially kind of added to it.
So would you say it's in approaching a director, would it be finding someone who has a similar style to what the story you're trying to tell, but then also hasn't necessarily done this exact thing? Like, you're not going to want to direct another End Through the Portal, like, but this is similar enough. And is that when approaching someone?
Yeah, and I think there's kind of two sides to this. There's the kind of, the directors for hire who, studios want to know that you're not going to mess the thing up. Like, are you a safe pair of hands? Can you do this on time, on budget, to the kind of, quality and the feel that we're familiar with? If you're directing TV, it's like, can you go in and execute? Can you shoot Law and Order, for example, in the style that Law and Order has been shot for however long, and just get the job done on time and on budget? And I think for that kind of thing, it's who has done that before. Great, come and do that. So, like, rinse and repeat. Not to take anything away from the artistry of that, but I think that is a slightly different thing. Whereas I think for this, I would look to, whose work have you enjoyed, whose work have you liked, and again, think kind of tonally, not just kind of content wise. I don't want to make another like Portal in the Woods thing with a time loop, unless there is a kind of a very different angle, a different take on it. But
what if it's action?
Action!
What if it's an action film?
Well, I mean,
action portal film.
An action with a portal, sure, yeah. And I made a short kind of action comedy called Beat with Sarah, one of our
fantastic,
one of our active writers from Portal. She wrote that. Her husband Travis is a legit stunt performer, incredible, stunt guy. And we're talking to him about a potential thing, but that's for another day. But yeah, like, I was really curious about shooting some action. So like I made an action thing. I've done a nice variety of things. So
I think so. Yeah.
And I think finding, it's like, whether it's a feeling, whether it's a tone, whether it's like, there were two characters in here and I loved their relationship. Like, maybe that director would be a good fit because he got those, or she got those performances from those actors that, I think you can kind of, figure out. It doesn't have to be the whole film as a whole. Right. It could be.
Well, it's kind of interesting because you have done quite a few different genres. I would say. I mean, like, Beat was an action. I mean, there's an action comedy to it. Like, I think everything kind of. Well, not every. I think 15 Down still had a bit of comedy. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, the first part's very
heartwarming,
and at least the first half of it, if I remember it.
Yes.
And so while they're all different genres, tonally, I do think that they all kind of fit into the same world. I don't necessarily see that through line with Tara and I all the time, but I think other people can tell a Natalie and Tara production when they see it as well, though. So I don't ever think about it that way, though. Right now, we've got something where we're flight attendants and there's Langoliers attacking us.
No, and I think you can often only, is it Steve Jobs who's like, you can only connect the dots when you look backwards. You can't piece it together, in the moment. But I think all my work there's been a lot of heart to all my work. Our relationships and our characters are very grounded. I think where the comedy happens, it's a very kind of natural, very real, kind of truthful comedy. And I think actors enjoy kind of working with me for those reasons. I trust my actors to do their work, and I get very good performances out of my actors, and I'm going to kind of own that for just a hot second. And I think looking back, and looking back over our shorts and the feature, a lot of awards that my film has won have been to actors, and for performances. So I think it's a testament to the work I do with my actors. They're not mine. I mean,
No, they are.
the actors in this in
Yeah.
films.
We're going to call you our director.
We're gonna call you our director. We own you now, so
So yeah, and I think just because again, like that's who our audience is there to see. You know, they're spending 90 minutes with these characters and with these actors. I'm nowhere to be seen at that point. Which
That's a
Cool.
testament. Yeah.
yeah. We're kind of winding down to the end here. Do we have any like important standout questions we need to ask before we say goodbye to
No,
Mike?
I think we really got into some. I mean, it's not necessarily
Yeah,
the Q&A that we had in mind, but I really liked
No.
where this
I
conversation
can
went.
rapid fire. I can rapid fire.
Yeah,
if you need.
my favorite question is still sitting in the background. Maybe we'll save it for some other time. For like when we're later in the project, go, no, where have I stepped on your toes already?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. We'll wait
Yeah.
till later. Maybe it's a later day question for another
Next
time.
time we're here, because I'm
Ooh,
sure we'll
well-
have you on. You can think about it. You can think
Yeah,
about
think
where
about that.
as writer, actors, kind of producers, like where are we stepping on toes in the wrong
Because
spot?
we are bossy.
I
We are
will.
very
I'll start making
bossy
notes.
and opinionated.
Make it a list.
Get a little notebook and start making a list of what we're doing wrong. All right, before we send you away, where can we find you on the internet, on the Instagrams? Where can we find your work? Evening Squire.
Yeah, most of my stuff is through Evening Squire Productions, which is eveningsquire.com on the interwebs, and then at Evening Squire is the handle for all of it. And then you can find my personal stuff through there. MikeHayhurst.com is
Sir British Mike.
Sir British Mike on
I like it.
Instagram. Well, so yeah, British Mike was an old nickname from that upstate theatre
I
camp.
bet. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
19 years ago. But British Mike was already taken, so I just knighted myself.
So British, so united yourself.
So I
I mean-
knighted myself
Look,
via the Instagram.
I think we should all have one at this point.
You should just have your
Right?
right. If you want to knight yourself, you knight yourself. You do what you
Yeah,
want.
there you go. I knighted myself. So Sir British Mike on
So
Instagram.
British- Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mike. That is a wrap on Mike. Thank you so much. You're amazing. It was so good to have you on.
Thank you very much. I'm going to get back
Yeah.
to your script and keep working. So,
Go do your homework.
Yay.
there you go.
Goodbye, sir.
Thanks all.
Thank
Bye.
you, Mike. Wow.
Oh, I love interviews. They're my favorites.
And I think that one, I mean, like, it's interesting because we've known this guy for a while now, and we meet once a month at least and
Yeah.
pick each other's brains. And still, I had all sorts of questions that were coming up about like the future of the project. And, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I know. I was like watching the clock go, and I'm like, oh
I
no,
was like-
we're running out of time, and I have
I
more
know.
questions and things I want to talk about with
Exactly.
you. So I'm excited to work with him and
Yeah.
get to know him better and stuff through this process. Like I think we're gonna have a real good time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So all of this brings us to the best part of the show, the Abby Singer shot. Abby Singer shot. This is near the end. This is the second to last shot, which is what an Abby Singer shot is. This is our vocabulary of the day moment. Natalie goes out and does some research, and she brings to us something we need to learn today. Natalie.
Yeah, I'm jumping out of alphabetical order here somehow.
Oh,
I don't
no.
know what happened. I'm just this.
I don't know what happened.
I read something and then it reminded me of this one, and I had to go back to L's. So the term of the day is letterboxing. And it's been
Okay.
popping up a lot recently because there's now an app called Letterbox.
Letterbox.
And I'll talk, not to be confused. They're not the same thing at all. So
No.
letterboxing is the practice of transferring film shot in a widescreen aspect ratio to a standard width format while keeping the film's original aspect ratio. So when you watch TV and there's the bars on the top and the bottom, that's letterboxing. And the reason it's called that, and this is most interesting to me, is because it's like the letterbox on your door that you put the letters in. That's what it ends up looking like.
That's the reason. That's the reason.
So
they
those
call it
two bars
letterbox?
on the top and the bottom make it look like a letterbox on your.
I mean, they're not wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
That's great.
But it ends up with those matte empty spaces on the top
Yeah.
and the bottom, and it avoids distortion. So, because we've done this in the past, where you film something in one aspect ratio, and then you go and you plug it into some other. I mean, look,
Right.
everything has its own aspect ratio now
No, I
between, I
know
mean, just in your own
it's
little
madness
small
right now.
social media world, like,
Yeah.
everything you have to do. But if you would take that and just plug it in, and it doesn't do it the same now as it used to automatically do on YouTube, where it would just take whatever you put in there and it would just stretch it, or it would squeeze it, or it would just fit it in there. And now you have like, there's videos out there that Tara and I have that somehow we're skinnier because
The
things got
wrong aspect.
the wrong aspect ratio from what
Yeah.
it was originally filmed in versus what it is now. Anyway,
Yeah.
so when you see those bars around things, or often now, I think people are using it more to tell stories too.
Yeah.
It's not technically, I don't know if that's still called letterboxing in that, but people are using aspect ratios within films. I was just watching one Department Q TV show, really really good. Department Q, and one of the women's stuck inside it's a hyperbaric chamber, but she's stuck in there, and there's a part where when they talk to her, the sides come in, and
Love
the
it.
aspect ratio changes, and
Love
it's
it.
to make you feel confined, and people are
Yeah.
doing a lot of
I
that
love it.
in film right now. It's very
Yeah.
it used to be drone shots, now everybody's just using
Now it's
aspect
this.
ratios.
I've been loving the people using the aspect ratio to help convey a feeling or a mood in the story. It's really cool. Very
Now
cool.
that is not
Letterboxing.
that's not the same as letterboxing.
No,
Letterboxing
not
is
the same. But
specifically
that's so interesting.
to preserve the original intent of the film. And so
Yeah.
whenever you see a film on your television, it has those bars, which I hate. It is because of that. It is to
Okay.
preserve, so you get to see all of it. Otherwise, you would be getting a squatch down, or you're missing frames. Now,
Right. Or you're
on the and the other side, that Letterbox, just in case anyone wanted to know, is a new program app that is a social platform for sharing your taste in films. So it's a diary to record your opinions on films. And I don't know what's going on there, but
Yeah,
just
I
in
was
case,
using
just
it
so you
for
know
a
the
bit
difference.
there. Yeah, I was using Letterbox for a little while there, and now I'm more on Just Watch, which is an app for like it just tells you where to find things easily.
Where to
And so
find
that's
things,
been
yeah.
that's been more my go-to
Yeah.
app for tracking my content. Anyways, but yeah, that's cool. Letterboxing. I thought I knew, and I kind of knew, but now I know what that
I
term really
didn't. I had
means.
heard it all over the place, and I was just like, and I
Yeah.
was getting it way more confused with the app. And I was just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what do the two have to do with each other? And I didn't understand.
Yeah.
And now I do.
Now you do. Amazing. And that's why we like the Abby Singer so much. Okay, before we head out, I just want to mention that on YouTube, there is this ability to super chat to us. And that super chat is how you send the monies. And the monies that we get from the super chats, we are using directly to fund our feature film. Turns out there is a lot of cost, even at this very early stage of getting this movie made. Right now, we are doing the film festival / script competition part of the filmmaking process, and that's some monies. And so every bit of super chat funds or PayPals that you send us off of the live stream, which is linked below, is going to that. So thank you in advance to all of our super chatters who have super chatted in the past, all of our PayPalers. We appreciate you so much. It really does help make this entire world that we've created for ourselves happen. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, next week, we're still going to be in the development portion of this movie making process, but we're going to start talking about money. The hardest part about making any movie happen is getting the money. Anything.
I don't think it's
ever.
just the movies. Yeah.
It's
Anything.
probably not. It's probably everything. Anything ever. It's the money part. So we're going to start diving into the money part, raising funds, all that good stuff. So join us for a new chapter. We're turning the page and going to a new chapter, but we're in the same section of the book, basically. We're still.
I hate
Natalie,
development.
we're still in development. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. All right, so join us next week as we turn the page and head into the next part of the development process. If you are listening to this podcast and you didn't subscribe to it yet, please subscribe. Please subscribe to this podcast. If you're listening to this podcast and haven't watched us live on YouTube, we're on YouTube as well. We have visual components, as you heard in the show, that you might have missed. Go check out our visual components on the YouTube channel as well. So we appreciate you hitting that subscribe button and following us because it means so very much. All right, guys, we're going to call it there. We're going to see you next week. And thank you for joining us on our little adventure. Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody in the
Thank
house
you,
say,
Ben.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Ben
Oh,
just
did I
super
miss
chatted
it?
us. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was
right
on the
there in
wrong
there. Thank you, Ben.
screen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben. I had to flip over to my media screen, which means I lose all my comments. Also, side note, we didn't go to Instagram today because I messed something up. I'm not sure what I messed up, but we weren't living.
All right.
I went over there to go hit the button. I'm like, uh-oh. I didn't do it. I mean, I
Uh-oh.
got the link, but I didn't. There was another step I
It
needed
just
to do.
didn't.
I don't know.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it didn't happen today. It's all
Oh,
right.
well.
It's all right. Whatever. Whatever. Welcome to the Critic Cookie, the after section. If you are in the know, you are in the know, and you come hang out with us. And this is where we talk to you directly. We do a little more of that behind the scenes conversation to the behind the scenes conversation. It's already a behind the
I
scenes.
don't know what.
Yeah, this is way more personal. We're gonna
This
read
is
your comments and respond in real
weird
time.
Inception.
Basically, I wanna see that mug though, because you lifted it
I
up.
know you'd love this.
And I was like, my eyes went
Right.
wide. I don't know if you
I
saw.
know.
I love it.
Well, you know what's
I
funny?
love that.
So this was the very last. I've had this one since last year. I've just been waiting for the summer to come around. But actually, I think I bought this in LA.
I love it.
But it has a sticker already on the bottom, and I didn't realize that until like halfway through. It's already got. I can't turn it because there's still coffee in there.
Yeah.
But it's got my candle sticker already on the bottom because I almost made it once and then was like, I don't know. And then it went into a box and now it's back out. So
Oh,
I
that's
didn't make any new
funny.
candles this week. I'm out of wax. It's too hot.
I'm out of wax. That's a saying I like. I'm out of wax.
I'm out of wax. Yeah.
Funny. Yeah, so funny. Oh, hey, quick question, guys. How's the audio sounding on this episode? Natalie and I are fighting through some serious audio
We are.
right now. I definitely yelled 2 times in this podcast that I'm mad at myself for. I was like, gosh darn it, Tara, you're not allowed to be excited about things. You have to stay calm and roll back in your chair.
Yeah, we have been fighting. I did have Justin chiming in at the very top to let me know how things were.
Oh,
and I did
good.
at one point in time adjust something. I turned you up a little bit. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a nightmare, guys. I don't
Yeah.
know what's going on.
We're fighting with
But
it.
We're troubleshooting it. I don't know what the answer is yet.
No.
Natalie needs a new
We'll figure it out.
computer. That's the answer.
I
But we
don't
don't know
think
that that'll
that's-
solve it.
I don't think that's the whole thing. I think,
No.
you know, I should give Sam a call. Sam from Waco Independent Film Festival. He's the one who turned us on to StreamYard. They use this a lot. Maybe there's an answer he has for us. That's a phone call. Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't wait until July to go see him. Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys died.
Oh.
No, that's a bummer. I love the Beach
I've
Boys.
seen the Beach Boys so many times.
Have you really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
It's probably about 5. And
Okay.
not necessarily by choice.
By force?
The Beach Boys, well, out in Vegas, the Beach Boys just play local events a lot.
Yeah.
And they were, it was, some version of the Beach Boys because it's all their sons at this point in time.
Oh.
But yeah, it's generational.
Yeah.
But I saw them, they would play out in Vegas a lot. They would play at like the Stars games, which was the local baseball team. I think I saw them at least twice there. I saw them once in Stockton though, as well, when I was living up there. And I think there was like 2 other times that they were at events out in Las Vegas. They just played out there all the time. But somehow I saw the Beach Boys so much when I was
That's
a
so
kid.
funny.
Now, my family liked the Beach Boys, but
Yeah, mine
but
too.
enough to go that many
That
times.
many
I don't think that
times?
was it. I just think it happened to be that. Also, family-friendly events, I think, was part of
Yeah.
it. Like
Well,
they're playing at the baseball game.
Yeah, my mom probably will kill me for telling this story, but me and I think I was like 4 or 5, and the Beach Boys were playing nearby, and they let you attend for free if you like worked the door or something like that. So my dad and his buddies all worked the door and then got our family in for free.
Oh my
And
gosh!
then so I got to go as a kid. I was like 5 years old. It was probably like my first concert as a kid. I don't remember any of this. My dad puts me up on his shoulders during the concert. And it's a Beach Boys concert, and it's, the 80s, and so everyone's, smoking some smoke. And I get high in the concert. I'm like getting upset and like paranoid during the concert because I got high. My mom's like, "Oh my God, I got my baby
I got
high."
my baby high. Yeah.
I got high on accident and drunk on accident way too early in life from weird things like that in
Yeah.
Texas. Look, the 80s were a dangerous time, kids.
They
So stinking
were.
funny.
Yeah, I don't
So,
remember
so
there.
funny.
I think all the events that I attended were, ones that were very family friendly.
Very
But
family friendly,
we
yeah.
went every year. We went to a thing called June Fest, and like the
Okay,
Doobie Brothers played, and I saw Jefferson
cool.
Starship. I think they were, I don't know what they were called at the time. That bands changed its name so many times.
Oh yeah, that's
Um,
true.
but it was, and Ted Nugent, and just, I mean, it was the 60s and 70s, just rockers and stuff, like we're rockers, whatever. Um, and yeah, there was a lot of weed there because all you did was you went out to the, you went out and put out a blanket, and that was your space for the day, and
Yeah.
everyone just sat around. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we went
So
every
funny.
year. Yeah.
That's fun. I love it. I love it. Jimmy Buffett. Now, like Shannon mentioned, I saw Jimmy Buffett once. He tossed out condoms during that song. Very funny. I love Jimmy Buffett. And now all I want to do is go to Margaritaville over at Universal City Walk and get
How
a
funny.
platter of fried foods. It's a weird trigger in my brain now. Not that like, I went there a lot as a kid, but like I don't know.
Yeah.
It just vibes. Summer and the vibes. Uh in case you guys missed it, I think pretty much everyone the same people here. In case everybody missed it though, we're very excited. We got a bunch of film festivals coming up for us. Natalie,
Yeah.
you've got Dances with Films coming up for Obit, which is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Um I've got Atlanta Shorts Fest, which is next weekend. Good
Yeah.
Lord. Next week. So next weekend, if you're in Atlanta, I'll be in Atlanta going to the Atlanta Shorts Fest. I'll be there. It's Friday and Saturday. My screening is going to be 11:45 at night because it's the thriller block.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're around, come to the thing. Come say hi to me. My director and my writer slash executive producer are both coming as well because
Oh, good.
they have family and friends in Atlanta, so they're both going. I'm excited. I've never been
Is
to this
it the
one,
world
so
premiere? You don't know.
I think it is. Yeah. I think it is. But yeah, we have another festival that I don't know I'm allowed to talk about it yet. That's gonna
Okay.
be later. Yeah, this is the world premiere.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm excited. We have several things in the Waco Independent Film Festival, which will be mid-July, and we will be
Mm-hmm.
there with so many bells on. Nellie's got Obit. We've got In the Event of. And there's something. Oh, and you and Justin
Justin
have
and
got a
I have a
script.
script. Yeah.
Yeah, we're there for like the gamut, and I'm so excited. We're gonna have such a good time.
Yeah.
Such a good. My favorite story of Waco is getting pulled over for drunk driving when I was sober. It was the
Right.
best. That was the best experience. We went out late, and one of the things that Waco is really, really known for in our minds is this killer, not affiliated to the film festival um what's the word, karaoke spot
Karaoke.
that we go
Mm-hmm.
to every time, and Natalie gets up and always slays the crowd. It's so fun. We stay out, we shut the bar down every
Mm-hmm.
time. And
One time
since
I was breakdancing.
one
One
time,
time I
oh my
broke
God,
dance.
there's amazing photos of me with a wrestling belt. Don't remember why, but that was the
Some
same
dude
that
just had it.
just had it that same year. I will post those photos today. I love those photos. But that same night, I was the designated driver because I'm, sober now. So I was like, I'll be the driver. So I'm driving, but the way the streets are in downtown Waco, I didn't realize that there's one way only.
Yep.
And so we get going, I turn down the street, one way only, and boo, cop pulls us over. And I'm like,
Oh, coming
oh,
from in front of us because we're
from in
going the
front of
wrong
us,
way
because we're
down
going
a
the wrong
runway.
way. And I'm so excited. And I got you and Ben, and you're both so adorable in the car too. You're both like, oh no. I'm like, I'm jazzed. I'm so jazzed. And
Well,
they're
because
like,
we are both drunk.
you guys were so drunk. Y'all were so drunk and so adorable. Like you both could not have been cuter. Like I loved everything about this memory. And they of course the cops. I tell them, I was like, oh no, I'm an alcoholic, which is not the thing to say. Like, wait, no, I mean I'm sober. I don't drink. And they're like, well, we're gonna have to pull you out anyways. It's like, great, no problem. So they do a sobriety test on me. The best. And we're all laughing because we know we're not in trouble. I
Yeah.
really wished I really wish that we gotten to like film me doing my sobriety test
Hmm.
because I had that driving ticket, the warning on my fridge. It might still
Yeah.
be up there for the longest time. That's
Well,
one of my
because the fun thing was
favorite
is you
memories.
hadn't had a drop, and so like
No,
not even like, oh, you
in
had
forever.
a drink, and like,
Mm-mm.
oh, maybe that's going to be enough, like,
To do the
no,
thing, yeah.
hadn't had a single
No,
thing in months. So
right, months and months
so
at this point.
we weren't worried at
No one
all,
was
but
scared.
it was such a weird.
Oh, it was so fun. That's like a
It's
favorite
now
Waco
a core
memory.
memory.
It's a core memory of Waco now. That was
uh,
so much fun. But I love that festival. I'm excited to go back. Thrilled.
yeah.
Not looking forward to
Did
the
I
heat,
did
but
I have I talked since I filmed last? Was that last? Have we had a live
no,
stream
you
since I
haven't.
filmed last
No,
week?
we live streamed before you filmed. Tell us about filming.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I got on the road right after. Yeah, I did a
Yeah,
gig
yeah.
last week. It's a short film called After You Get Back, and it is about a girl who gets out of she was institutionalized. It's without going into too much detail, I'm then her psychiatrist, and I give her some maybe questionable advice, and she goes on a road trip. And and then it's her adventure. So I had one scene. Well, I have a scene at the end that they are cheating. But so I had to film like just me being in the room, and they're going to film the reverse of it later rather than have me come back up there.
Yeah.
But it was so simple. So simple. I had it's the quickest, easiest day I've ever had on set. Even with me making mistakes. I we started off, I have a line and I got to it while we're filming my side. We've already filmed this side, whatever. We're filming my side and I blank for a second. And then I go, I'm sorry, hold. And then I just picked it back up. Very professional,
Very
like I
professional.
paused, picked it back up. And then afterwards we were standing there. I said, I wanted to say, why not? I don't know why, but that's what felt right there. And she's like, yeah, that's weird. And, we do another take, the next take. And they're like, you guys are missing an entire section. And I'm like, what? Yeah, something's not happening. They're like, your line is why not? And I'm like, so it was my instinct to say why not was right. But for some reason, the line just didn't, like, it felt too easy. It felt too right to say that next line. It was just
Yeah.
and anyway, so I screwed up 2 takes because I didn't say I just skipped a whole chunk and knew and was fighting the instinct to say the right line, which was really weird.
That's so funny.
So even with that, like it was the smoothest, easiest shot. Of course, we're just sitting in chairs and having a therapy session, but
Yeah.
I've never had that experience on set that wasn't just like there's no nerve wracking about it either. I finally am comfortable enough as an actor
Nice.
that I don't
Yeah.
feel like, and I have to prove myself when I walk in
Yeah.
the room. But then
It's the job now.
also, yeah, but then also I wasn't in charge of anything else. So once I got in there, all I had to do. So I've had easy roles but I've also been doing something else, normally.
Right.
So it was a really good experience.
That's awesome.
And I got paid.
Oh,
I got
wrong.
paid.
And I got paid, which is great.
I mean, just a little bit, but I got paid.
That's
I sent in
amazing.
4 auditions yesterday. I recorded 4 out of nowhere. I cold
I
called
lo-
people. Hold on.
Wait, what? You
I mean,
cold call
kind of.
people?
So like this is kind of a weird thing. Like anybody who knows Natalie's social anxiety is that she does not
Yeah.
like, I won't interact. Anything that I can do to not interact is stellar. But there were 3 different projects, 2 of which the date had passed to submit, one by a day, but I wanted to submit to it. So I emailed them and I said, hey, I just saw this posting. If you're still looking for this, I'd love to audition. And they got back to me and they said, actually we extended it for a few other people. If you want to send it in, that's fantastic. So yesterday I recorded 4, because there were 4 parts that I was fit for. So I recorded them all. So Justin and that's all I did yesterday. Just set up the thing, recorded 4 auditions, sent those in.
Good
There was
for
another
you.
project that I have an audition for this afternoon
Mhm.
that they were past their audition date. And I emailed them. I knew them from a festival. And I
Okay.
said, hey, I just saw your posting for this thing. And I know you're past, it was 3 days past already. I was like, if there's any chance that you have holes that I would fit in, I'd love to come work with you guys. If not, if you've already cast, then phenomenal. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. And they emailed me back yesterday and were like, actually, we're having a little bit of trouble with this one part. You know, do you want to do so I'm doing a virtual audition today. And then there was another
Very
one that was
cool.
similar that I had to reach out to someone and go,
Yeah.
I can't find the information for this casting. Da, 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 da.
Good
Anyway,
for you. Look at you go
I know.
getter.
I'm more proud of
Hustling.
that than the audition itself.
I'm proud of you for like hustling. That's a hustle right there. That's
Yeah.
good. Good for
So,
you.
so I'm putting everything goes right, and I'm screwing up things down the road for us to see, like the dates
Listen,
on this and the dates on that. I'm just like,
I've always
figure it
said
out.
like we will figure it out.
Mhm.
We'll figure it out. Like we'll just put everything into the category. Like we'll just make a list of importance and we'll figure it out from there. Because the
Mhm.
whole point of all of this stuff is to build careers for ourselves. So like,
One of them's a really big stretch, but it would be during Waco.
okay.
But if I got it, I would have to
You
take
got
it.
it. You
Yeah.
gotta do what you gotta do. It's like,
Mhm.
that'd be whatever.
Sorry, Toby.
Whatever. Sorry, Toby. You're just gonna hang out with me, Toby. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be there. Yeah. Well, good for you. That's exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else exciting to report this week? I've just been I'm finally this week like, all right. I'm caught up
Yeah.
and things are just like there's still lots to do every day, but like it's not as overwhelming as it
Right.
was. I'm still working
Mhm.
a ton at my night job, which is just gonna be what it is for a little bit. But hey, here we are. Whatever. We're gonna survive. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say the only thing that to report otherwise is that we did a bunch of submissions. So
Yep.
we
That is
submitted
true.
in the event of to a bunch of festivals, and we've got turns
hmm
out submitted to a bunch of festivals. So now
Yeah.
I don't have to do that research anymore.
Yeah, that's done. That's one thing
It's
off of
off my plate.
your plate. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Our weekly meetings are a little less meeting because they were long.
Yeah.
Our weekly meetings
Ugh.
were long for a while. They were like 4 hour long because we were writing and doing this and doing it. And like
Mhm.
you and I are through a big push of this year of like getting this podcast up and going, getting the script ready, all this here. We're a tiny somewhat
Mhm.
reprieve. Submitting the script. Yeah, we're submitting the script to script competitions and film festivals that have a script competition component.
Mhm.
Because one of the many ways to build up credibility for your feature is to uh, rack up some laurels. Because for script competitions, they do quarterfinalists, semifinalists, finalist, and then winner. And so like that they just kind of cull down the number of scripts. And that's a good way for you to get like a little bit of credibility. Like, yes, the script is good and
Mhm.
worthwhile and worth putting your money behind by getting these laurels from script competitions that say, yes, the writing is good, the story is good. Da, 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 da.
And there's a
So,
couple festivals that we've never quite broken into that we
mm-hmm.
want to, and they
Yeah.
have script competitions. So we figured submit to those because if it gets accepted into festivals that will not be named, then
Yeah.
then maybe someday they'll also accept our other things. Because right now
Yeah.
we're on the cutting floor for the couple festivals that we want to be part of. But
Yeah. 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 And this, it's tonally a little differenter than things that we've done in the past, I want to
mhm,
say. Maybe not. But yeah, it may hit a couple of these festivals differently because it is not everything that you make is good for every film festival. Even if it's a
right,
solid, great, amazing film, it may not be in taste and style what this a festival likes. So it's good whenever we do something different. Like in the event of for us is a short film that is more of a absurdist comedy, tonally is different than everything we've made. So we're submitting that to festivals we've never even tried before because we're like, maybe you like this kind of comedy.
right.
It's not what we
Well,
normally make.
even so, like not necessarily on some of them do I think that it's the comedy's different or the heart is different or anything like that or the tone is different. It's that I think it's just a different avenue to get in the door. Like
Yeah.
they have their, I mean, every festival has those same people who submit to their stuff every single year, and
hmm
alumni is gonna win. I mean, we rest on that laurel as well. Like us getting into a festival because we're alumni, like we'll take that.
Oh yeah.
Like would you? If it gives us the leg up. So
hmm
if our short film is on par with someone else's and it's their alumni, they're going to win out on us. But there might not be as many scripts. there might not be as many, like, I
Yeah.
bet there's no other script out there like this one. You know
No.
what I mean? Like, so while there might be something that is, I mean, even Beat was similar to social anxiety that year. There were a couple films that, like, the block we were in Cordillera, we were playing with Beat. We were playing with another film that was about anxiety that was a stop motion thing. And so,
Oh.
yeah. And so there is, like, you
Okay.
end up like you're
Yeah,
in
yeah.
competition differently than you think you are. So a script might stand a different chance. I don't know.
Yep. For
That's
sure.
just my thought.
For sure. Yeah.
And then we're alumni.
And then we're alumni.
Yeah. That's all
All
you need
right.
is to be alumni.
Just to be alumni. Just be alumni. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for staying after the credits to chat with us in real time. We'll see you guys next week. Everything is normal, and check out our Instagram stories and stuff. We're posting more and more different kinds of content in different places. So check us out in all the places. All right, we'll see you next time.
Sweet.
Bye.